In recent years, RPGs with a traditional turn-based battle system have fallen somewhat by the wayside. And to me, that seems like a massive waste. I love turn-based battle systems, and I imagine a whole number of people do, judging by the fact that Square Enix's Bravely Default is still very rare and just as expensive as the day it came out in 2013, 3 years ago. So, it greatly pleased me to see Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth on the PS4, which is an RPG with a turn-based battle system. And obviously it's Digimon. Yeah. So I picked up a copy of the game on release day, and I've been playing that over the past week or so, and yeah. Let's review it, shall we? So the story basically, well, I'm not really that far into the game, so I can't really say too much about the story right now, nor would I really want to give any massive plots away to anyone that's intending to play the game at some point. But I will admit that the parts I've seen of it so far, there are bits and pieces of the story that just seem to be tacked on or thrown in there for the sake of having a story. But generally I do like the way that they've now sort of tried to modernise Digimon. So in everyday technology, Digimon can be manifested in, like, you know, a phone or something as a virus, which is kind of interesting. I thought that was a really nice little touch there. But yeah, it's kind of interesting the way that they've tried to modernise it. However, the story do sort of have my quarrels. There were a few moments that I saw coming, but obviously I'm unaware as yet to a massive twist in the plot because I haven't finished the game yet. So don't judge. They're very fitting with the original style, like art style of the show and everything. They look quite pretty, to be honest. I mean, the environments, I haven't seen an environment that looked bad by any stretch of the word. We've got to keep in mind, this was a PS Vita game originally that has been ported onto the PS4. So, the areas aren't particularly large, some of the areas don't seem to be well laid out and thought out and stuff. When, say for example, in one particular part of the city, to access the next area you have to run all the way around one area of the city just to get to the next area, which happens to be a dead end. Personally, I feel that could have been better laid out, but okay. Also, with it being a PS Vita port, it's very linear in terms of the paths that you can take and such, and you know, I mean, obviously that's not really such a bad thing, but if you're expecting a big, sprawling epic of a game, this isn't what you're looking for, sadly. But like I said, the environments are all very nice and pretty, and there haven't really been any times that I thought something looked bad, so that's something to keep in mind. I do quite like the graphical style used in this game. The music is surprisingly catchy. In fact, more than once I've actually found my head bobbing along to the beat of the music, and it's really nice to have that in a game where the background music is so fitting that you actually find yourself enjoying it without actually consciously realizing that there is music playing. It's a very nice detail there, and the ambient sound as well and the battle sounds are all fantastic. They've done it quite well. It's all, well, mostly voice acted, but it's Japanese voices, and there's no option to actually change that, so it's subtitles, I'm afraid. Subtitles are the way to go. Personally, that doesn't really bother me. Like, even when it comes to watching anime, I prefer to have subtitled versions of it and have the original Japanese voices. But I know that there are some people that would rather have it read out in English. But, you know, no. Moving on. So, like I said earlier, like, it's a solid turn-based battle system used in this. I mean, the mechanics are all there. You know, obviously you have, judging by your Digimon's speed, puts them into a certain order down one side of the screen when you're in a battle. And the higher your speed is, obviously the more turns you get before your enemy can attack you, which is quite cool. I mean, in a way it was very reminiscent of Final Fantasy X for me, the way it actually shows the order of battle. And there are some great moves in there. In fact, there was a massive feeling of nostalgia the first time I saw Agumon use Pepper Breath. So yeah, if you want the nostalgia trip, yeah, you will love it. There is plenty of nostalgia to be witnessed within this game. There's a whole number of Digimon to collect. I believe the total number is something like 240 something. And the way that you digivolve them is really quite cool. So obviously you level them up, and then you can digivolve into one of any number of Digimon that they can evolve into. But to actually digivolve into them, they need to have certain requirements met. Obviously, level being one of them, and then it comes down to their stats. So they could need to have attack over a certain level, or defense, or a combination of a few. And then there are some where you have a camaraderie stat and DNA digivolution. It's quite difficult to do, but if you get it done, it's awesome. It really is. So for that you'll need to have like 100% camaraderie on 2 Digimon, and then be able to DNA digivolve them both together. And they both need to be like the set level and stuff like that. So it's really quite cool. Very good system. In order to actually obtain Digimon in the first place, when you encounter them in a random battle, a little circle shows up on the screen of the percentage that you have scanned that Digimon, and that needs to hit 100%. It caps out at 200%, obviously with the extra 100 allowing for better abilities and such in battle, and I believe higher stats too, but don't quote me on that. But I did find that sometimes obviously the higher level Digimon that you encounter, you need to encounter more times before you can actually catch them, because it's not actually catching, it's just you get all the data and then you convert that data into the Digimon and it just hands it to you. But when you have to find a Digimon that has a very low chance of appearing at least 10 times before you can actually convert the data, it gets a bit tiresome. Well, it does help with the grind, to be honest. There is also an area called the farm, the Digi Farm, where you can actually send some of your Digimon and they will level up, like, as you're playing through the game and stuff. And that's kind of fun, and that's kind of cool. It does sort of defeat the whole purpose of having them in your party to level them, when you can just leave everything in the farm, go away for a while, and come back and they'll all be max level. Ready for digivolving? Yes! So I did find that it was kind of unbalanced in the way that I could literally just throw my Digimon onto the farm for a while, leave my PlayStation on for a couple of hours, come back and then just digivolve them and lather, rinse, repeat basically. It just, I don't know, it seemed a bit cheap in a way. But it was a good idea, but it just, I don't think it was done like brilliantly. The idea was there, but the execution wasn't the best that it could be, is what I'm saying. Also, as RPGs go, the game isn't particularly challenging. I haven't actually failed a battle yet. Only on one occasion have I actually had a Digimon lose its health in battle, at which point after the battle it comes back at 1 HP and I just use some of the, like, one of the bounty of healing items I've collected so far to get it back up to full health, and away I go. Also, every time you level, your Digimon's health and MP, or whatever, fully restore. So if you've recently digivolved something and it's level 1, you can let it get down to like 1 HP in battle and it'll level up and it'll be back at full health. So yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, there's a very linear sort of path throughout the game. Obviously you have to complete certain missions to advance the story, then there are some side missions that you can choose to do, but honestly they don't really give you that much. And at most times they are just a precursor to the main missions, wherein you will beat a story mission and then your character will inanely go, oh, you know what, I should do some of these other side missions before the next story one, and it forces you to do those missions. It's a bit like, you know, saying, oh, these are entirely optional, but you will have to do them. It seemed a bit odd to me, but I will say that obviously with it being a Vita port, the download size was a lot smaller than I was expecting, but it does seem to be a pretty large game for the download size. I mean, obviously that's helped out by the art style and the way that, as I mentioned, it's quite linear, but given everything that is actually in the game, I was impressed by how small the file size was. So yeah, one thing I will say as well regarding the well, not so much the story, but the way that the game is presented when it's telling the story, I don't really see the point in a game where you have 3D character models. When you want to tell the story, why then split to a screen of those character models in front of their models on screen, but closer up, to convey emotion and converse with one another? Why could you not just have the actual character models do that, but possibly zoom in? I mean, when games like Fire Emblem and such do it, obviously pixel art isn't the best way to convey emotion on a character's face, so they bring up an animated drawing of that character, and they convey the emotion and have the dialogue. In that it works, but where you have 3D character models anyway, it kind of just defeats the purpose. All in all, I've enjoyed the experience. Given my quarrels with the game, I just think that the overwhelming nostalgia factor for me really just starts to swing it so much, and also I do enjoy playing the game. Obviously, I love turn-based RPGs, and it's been a long time since I've played a new one. So again, for me, that was a huge factor in my enjoyment of the game, because turn-based RPGs are something that I miss dearly, and I just hope that developers realise that there is a strong market for turn-based RPGs. I mean, Square Enix discovered that, like I said, with Bravely Default, and hopefully this is a sign of things to come in the future, that we'll receive more of them, because that is something that would excite me to no end. I think I would recommend this game. I think I'll give it a 7 out of 10 in total. There you go. 7 out of 10, yeah. That's quite high, but obviously I enjoy the mechanics of the game. It's still intrigues me enough to keep playing it, even though the story seems a little bit weird and I haven't really gotten that far into it in the grand scheme of things. But there is enough there to keep me coming back and keep me playing it. So yeah, if you're a fan of Digimon and turn-based RPGs, I recommend that you get this game, because you will probably really enjoy it. If turn-based RPGs aren't your thing, then I don't know, you might find some entertainment in the fact that it is Digimon, but it probably wouldn't keep you interested throughout the entirety of it. So thank you everybody so much for watching. I really hope you've enjoyed my first review. I've no idea what I'm going to be reviewing next, but I will release another vlog that explains that and clears that up. So yeah, see you in the next one. Bye everybody.